Hello again, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for Friday's edition of Alaska Weather on the 19th day of November 2021. I'm Dave Percy. Up first, we've got, let's see, after the intro graphic there, winter storm watch out for the northern panhandle, and 5 to 8 inches of snow accumulation with locally higher amounts are possible. And this is for Saturday afternoon through Sunday afternoon. So snowy weekend coming up there for the northern southeast coast. And again, the heaviest snowfall expected Saturday evening through early Sunday morning, kind of bracketing the midnight hour there. Again, that's a winter storm watch, which is different from a warning. It's possible that you'd get the 5 to 8 inches of snow. Right now it's not a certainty, but it's a pretty good possibility at this point in time. And from there, there's a wind chill advisory out near White Pass on the Klondike Highway, and that's goes into effect midnight tonight until 9 a.m. Saturday morning. And on the graph to the right there, you can see, or not a graph, but on the map to the right, you can see White Pass wind chill expected to be around 38 below zero. And so the wind chill advisory is for that area right there along the Klondike Highway up there. 18 below at Skagway, and Haines 9 below for wind chills, and then over at that Chilkat River Bridge about 12 below. So looking at below zero wind chills, but definitely the wind chill advisory out for White Pass, they're closer to 40 below zero. And the next graphic showing a winter weather advisory out for Wrangell and Northern Prince of Wales, looking for 2 to 4 inches of snow. And this is out until 4 p.m. this afternoon. And I noticed it was still precipitating down in that area there, so it may go out a little longer into this evening. But 2 to 4 inches of snow, peak snowfall rates around noon occurred, and it's actually stopped. Rain and snow has stopped at AKwx. It's still Ketchikan, still carrying some rain this afternoon. And then kind of either way, like up at Wrangell, still seeing some light snow this afternoon. So it's kind of, the front kind of stalling out as it sags southward in toward Dixon Entrance. And it looks like snowfall levels should get down toward sea level, all areas down toward Metlakatla later on this evening. But by then, the precipitation, heaviest precipitation, should be about done. And for satellite imagery, you can see system wound up there right over the central Aleutians. Not all that impressively strong. AKwx had about 1/4 of an inch of rain, or 2/10 of an inch in the last 12 hours, ending at 3 p.m. this afternoon. And not a whole lot falling over the eastern Aleutians there, or the Alaska Peninsula's light amounts of precipitation. Light snow falling, though, at the Pribilofs, a little more impressive there, especially with the winds. Both St. Paul, St. George Island, seeing east winds gusting to 45 miles an hour, temperatures upper 20s near 30, with light snow falling at both locations. Otherwise, clear, cold conditions, very cold Arctic air up over the northern Bering Sea areas. You can see moving from east to west there, pushing the clear skies out across St. Lawrence Island and quite a distance off the Yukon Delta coast there, but not quite to St. Matthew Island. And then ice increasing along the southwest coast and on up Chukchi Sea, now ice covered right down to the Bering Strait. And this is about the most ice we've seen in the Chukchi Sea and the Bering Sea at this point in November since 2012, so almost 10 years. And interior clear and cold, as shown by the whiter areas there that aren't moving in the loop. That's just the very cold ground. That signifies the areas that are a fair distance below zero, even into the afternoon. Some areas running 10 to 20 below at about 3 p.m. this afternoon. For example, Buckland at 22 below, but Aniak up to minus 10, I believe. And otherwise, below zero, about 15 below at Fairbanks, and clear skies down into south central Alaska, into the Prince William Sound North Gulf Coast area, kind of and then the front there sagging southward into the southern southeast coast, kind of parallel to the wind flow, but it should drop a little bit farther south as colder air and drier air and increasing north winds push into the Lynn Canal area. Again, that's supporting that wind chill advisory out for White Pass. Otherwise, on the Arctic coast, you can see, if you noticed in the loop, moisture continues to come down in surges from the high Arctic there, and winds have diminished considerably there on the eastern Arctic coast. Blizzards ended now over toward Kaktovik and along the eastern Beaufort Sea coastline. Winds down to 15 miles an hour, under 15 miles an hour there at West 25 at Barter Island still a little breezy, but not like they were earlier today. Still had gusts 55 miles an hour earlier this morning. But they're picking up light snow all along the Arctic coast. Visibility is down to 1 to 3 miles. Some areas picking up anywhere from a half inch to an inch of snow. But the wind's really coming down, dead horse down to 12 miles an hour out of the west now, and they've got about 2 miles in light snow there. And light snow extending all the way back to, I believe, Cape Lisburne, and definitely to Point Lay, but dry over the areas from south of the Brooks Range. A few clouds though, but generally dry, and then mostly clear skies. Southern Alaska, snow showers with a cold outflow from Cook Inlet, pushing some snow shower activity into Kamishak Bay and areas of Kodiak Island, and then that extends across the Gulf of Alaska right into the northern southeast coast, with snow falling throughout the day over the central and northern panhandle. But the tightening gradient there, it's sort of overrunning the colder air that's starting to pour into Lincoln Island Glacier Bay there. And so the snow showers develop into an area of just general light continuous snow as it interacts with the terrain and the colder air. Otherwise, low center right over the central Aleutians. Tonight, that drops southeastward. And let me back that up. You can see the warm front south of Kodiak Island. Don't have the low center on the map there, but that's the next one. That's the one we're watching, moving up later tonight, and that'll increase the gradient across Kodiak Island, and wind and snow will begin to increase, possibly mixing with rain towards Sitkinak. Maybe not. Might stay snow there all night. And then that front sort of stalled out somewhere along Dixon Entrance. Could be a little farther to the north, might be a little farther to the south, but windier and colder and drier up over the northern half of the panhandle. And looking at the coldest night of the week here for interior Alaska, anywhere, some areas dropping toward 40 degrees below zero, and into the 30 to 35 below for the Copper River Basin. Otherwise, risk of some snow showers eastern North Gulf Coast. Snow flurries continue. Again, weak troughs coming down from the north. Keep areas light snow for the Arctic coast. And for Saturday, big increase in the wind. Storm force winds, gales coming up, snow blowing snow, Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak Island, into snow starting to work into southern Cook Inlet, maybe the southern Kenai Peninsula, possibly into mainly western Prince William Sound, definitely into the northern central panhandle areas, as a big push of moisture comes up from the south there along with warmer air. And then we'll see on the next frame rain or snow for the southern panhandle. Not a real big warm up coming up, but should lift the snowfall levels off sea level of Prince of Wales Island, maybe Annette, Metlakatla, but not Hyder. Snow and blowing snow developing over the southeast interior, dry and cold west side all the way up to the Arctic coast. Areas of snow over the Bering Sea. Next front bringing some wind and rain and gales into the western Aleutians. Lows tonight 10 to 35 below southern Alaska, warmer along the coast, a little below zero Bristol Bay. Near 9 for Skagway, but highs tomorrow in the 20s, northern panhandle, and near 40 south, and lower 30s there, Kodiak Island. Otherwise, single numbers in teens, staying below zero, Copper River Basin, Kuskokwim Valley, and teens to lower 20s, Bristol Bay. Lows near zero for Bristol Bay on Sunday morning, and 20, 25 below Copper River Basin, 5 to 10 below Susitna Valley, so a little warmer now. And right around zero or so, either side 5 below, 5 above for south central Alaska, and near 40 for the southern panhandle, upper teens, quite a thermal gradient across the southeast coast. And for highs Sunday afternoon, mid 40s southern panhandle to shade below 30 up in the north. Still below zero Copper River Basin, but not so far, and Kuskokwim Valley as well, about 10 for Bristol Bay, teens to near 20, south central Alaska, except milder on the coast, near freezing Kodiak. Up north, single numbers for the lows tonight along the Arctic coast, but 10 to 40 below over the interior. Highs tomorrow, 10 to 25 below for your highs, milder out toward the Bering Sea and the Arctic coast. And then the lows the following day, a little bit milder, but still, say, 15 to 30, 35 below possibly, and back below zero for the Arctic coast.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Moving on to flying weather, we've got marginal VFR, western central north slope Arctic coast, down across much of the Brooks Range, on out to the northwest coast, northern Seward Peninsula, with some IFR there near Shishmaref, mostly off the coast. VFR, St. Lawrence Island, St. Matthew Island, southwest coast, much interior, all of interior Alaska, including Prince William Sound, Gulf of Alaska, and the Panhandle, exceptions being marginal VFR along the coast of Prince of Wales Island, and some IFR there for the Yukon Flats there into the Porcupine River Valley area, and VFR Atka Island behind that front there, kind of in between cloud bands, with IFR for Adak and IFR for the Fox Islands to almost Cold Bay. Marginal VFR for Kodiak Island. And for the afternoon, IFR now from the Brooks Range into the central western north slope, western Arctic coast, and some marginal VFR along the remainder of the Beaufort Sea coast. Interior Alaska, VFR, some marginal VFR St. Lawrence Island to the Bering Strait. Pribilof's VFR, St. Matthew Island VFR. And again, all the interior south of the Brooks Range, VFR, marginal VFR working northward into southern Kamishak Bay and southern Kenai Peninsula right along the coast, and big downturn in the conditions there for the Panhandle. Marginal VFR up to Lynn Canal Glacier Bay with IFR right on its heels all the way down to Dixon Entrance. IFR Kodiak Island, Fox Islands over to about Atka, but VFR Amchitka westward. And moving on, Sunday morning, IFR reappears with the next system for Shimmy and Attu, but a zone of VFR in between that and the marginal VFR just east of Adak that extends all the way up the Alaska Peninsula to Kodiak Island. Eastern Bering, Pribilofs and the southwest coast, Bristol Bay, all VFR. Into Cook Inlet stays VFR. Marginal VFR pushing into possibly as far west as Portage, maybe Girdwood, with the IFR staying in Prince William Sound, Resurrection Bay, southern Kenai Peninsula, and the North Gulf Coast, and IFR up across Copper River Basin to possibly north of the mountains there, Northway Toke, maybe, and the Yukon Flats, IFR Arctic Coast North Slope, and the Panhandle pretty down with marginal VFR and even more IFR. And that holds into the Sunday afternoon, solid IFR for the Panhandle, Yakutat marginal, and solid IFR for the North Gulf Coast to, looks like into Turnagain Arm, maybe to Bird Point, and then marginal VFR, the eastern Chugach Range, and the Talkeetnas across the Copper River Basin, up across the Alaska Range to the greater Fairbanks area and eastward to the border. Yukon Flats now, VFR, in fact, just about all the Yukon River Valley away from Eagle is VFR, and IFR western Arctic coast and central north slope, central and eastern Arctic coast VFR. Not too bad in the central eastern Bering Sea, just a band of meandering marginal VFR there from St. Lawrence Island, and IFR from Amchitka westward to Shimmy and Attu. IFR possible, northern entrance and Atuvik, otherwise pretty good. VFR on down to the south. Adigan, marginal VFR possible, northern entrance, otherwise VFR. Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR. Rainy, good VFR conditions. Windy, another VFR day. Isabel, looking good with VFR. Mentasta, stays VFR. Tanita, same forecast. Portage, VFR. Chilkoot and White, starting out VFR, trending toward marginal VFR, especially into the middle and later part of the afternoon. Freezing levels at the surface south of Kodiak Island, right just south of Sitkinak, cutting across the Alaska Peninsula to just south of St. George, and then 2,000 feet, Dixon Entrance. Icing, quite a swath there from the Panhandle, increasing icing potential of increasing moderate potential for the southeast coast, North Gulf Coast, and to a lesser extent Kodiak Island, and then some icing possible in areas across the southern Bering Sea, Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula. Jet stream, upper level lows over the northern interior, just north of the Yukon River. Southwest flow now kind of switching around, 80 to 115 knots there from the southeast interior, and another branch there over the southern panhandle with a stronger low south of Kodiak Island. 9,000 feet, 55 knots right into Kodiak Island, and 40 to 50 knot winds into the panhandle. 3,000 feet, 65 to 75 knot winds from the western Gulf in across Kodiak Island, and increasing winds for the southeast coast. Turbulence, moderate chop, entire panhandle, all in the North Gulf Coast. Possible severe for Kodiak Island and the Aleutian Range.
It used to be that you could only warn one person about a tornado after it had already blown down someone else's barn.
Now, on average, we're able to issue a tornado warning 15 minutes before the tornado's even there, and that wouldn't be happening without Doppler radar.
This NexRad system has reduced fatalities on the order of 45% due to tornadoes since its advent.
We have a lot more information now about storms and being able to understand how they develop, how they produce severe weather, and how that information might be used to improve warnings for our National Weather Service partners.
The lab is unique in that we serve the nation by supporting the National Weather Service in its mission to protect lives and safe property by improving the accuracy and the lead time of severe weather warnings.
We have a legacy of radar research and converting existing technology from military to weather purposes.
A recycled Doppler radar led to the development of NexRad, installed nationwide in the early 90s. It allowed forecasters to see storms like never before.
Not only did we help bring that technology to the National Weather Service and to help protect lives and property, but we have continued to upgrade that technology, keep it relevant, and keep it state-of-the-art.
Recently, a major upgrade was added. Dual polarization technology takes the radar from 2D to 3D. Forecasters now know more about what type of precipitation is falling, which is very helpful during winter storms, as well as how much rain is accumulating, resulting in better flash flood warnings. The radar can also detect and track tornadoes based on debris. Looking to the future, the National Severe Storms Lab is testing the capabilities of phased array radar. Originally used by the U.S. Navy, the antenna scans the skies electronically rather than mechanically, allowing the radar to focus on a storm.
With current technology, we get a full picture or image of what is going on within a storm every 4 to 5 minutes. So it's more like a snapshot. Whereas with phased array radar, we get that picture of what's going on in the storm every minute. So it becomes more like watching a movie. So we can do adaptive, rapid scanning on the storms that matter most, being able to provide the information that's most relevant when and where it's happening.
Another advantage of phased array radar is its multifunction capability, providing weather and air traffic information simultaneously.
Number one, it is a system that promises to replace and expand upon the existing weather surveillance radars. Secondly, to replace aging air traffic surveillance radars. And number three, it offers a potential application to meet Department of Homeland Security and defense requirements for identifying and tracking non-cooperative aircraft. With the replacement of all these various radars with a single system, the American taxpayer could realize substantial savings in cost.
You have a lot fewer radars to maintain, and the electronic capability of this also reduces maintenance costs because you do not have moving parts.
Not too long ago, the ability to predict severe weather was thought to be impossible. During the past several decades, research conducted at the National Severe Storms Lab has developed life-saving tools like Doppler radar. We've progressed from no warning of threatening weather to about a 15-minute lead time, and current research promises to extend that much further.
Our knowledge of severe storms and how they behave, and our use and ability to use the Doppler radar technology and is in a lot of cases a direct result of that close working relationship, that research to operations component that we get between the National Severe Storms Laboratory and a forecast office.
That history and understanding of how these data can be used by our users and doing the research to help advance the use of radar technology, really it's what we live for, it's in our lifeblood, it's in our history.
It's now easier than ever to be a part of weather research. We just launched the MPing app for both iPhone and Android users, and it's totally free. PING, which stands for Precipitation Identification Near the Ground, is a research project by the NOAA National Severe Storms Lab and the University of Oklahoma. With the mobile app, you can send us your weather observations on the go. Are snowflakes falling on your head? Is hail hitting your car? Just select what type of precipitation is falling and press submit. It's that easy. It takes about 5 seconds and it's anonymous. Reports can then be viewed online. Our scientists will compare your report with what the radar has detected. This helps us develop new radar technologies and techniques. Download the app today, share your reports, and let's work together to make our nation weather ready. Learn more here and follow us.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Forecast gale warnings, north coast, east winds 40 knots, seas 11 to 13 feet. Gale warnings on the south coast, south to southeast winds 35 knots, seas around 12 feet. And for Clarence Strait, small craft advisory, southeast 25 with 5-foot seas. Stevens Passage, north at 20, 5-foot seas. And then back to small craft advisories in Lynn Canal, north winds 30 knots, seas 6 feet. And for the second day of the weekend, Sunday, on the south coast, gale warnings continue, but from the west at 35 knots, seas 16 feet. We've got 20 to 30 knot winds on the central coast from varying directions, and the north coast, southerlies 25 to 30 knots, seas just under 20 feet. Clarence Strait, gale warnings, southeast 35 knots, seas 7 feet. Only 15 knots for Stevens Passage with 3-foot seas, direction from the northeast. North 25, small craft advisories, Lynn Canal with 5-foot seas. Prince William Sound, small craft advisories, as well as northern Cook Inlet, northeast winds 25 knots. Gale warning south of the Forelands, southern Cook Inlet, northeast 40 knots tomorrow, seas 11 feet, 45 knot northeast winds, Kamishak Bay. Storm warnings for the Barren Islands, northeast 50 knots, seas 20 feet. And the North Gulf Coast, high-end gales, east-northeasterlies at 45 knots, seas 16 feet. Moving on to Sunday, small craft advisories for the North Gulf Coast around Middleton Island from the southeast at 30 knots, west side, northeast 25 knots. Prince William Sound, northeast 25 knots, good for small craft advisories there. Cook Inlet, northerlies 20 to 25 knots, strongest south of the Forelands. Gale warnings, Kamishak Bay, west winds 40 knots, seas 10 feet. Barren Islands, gale warnings, northwest at 40 knots with 21-foot seas. Kodiak Island, pretty windy day coming up there tomorrow. Northeast winds 55 knots. That's storm warnings for sure with 16 to 23-foot seas. Storm warnings also extend 50-knot northeast winds down to Castle Cape. The Alaska Peninsula gale warnings, northeast 35 to 40 knots, Bristol Bay northeast at 30. And for Sunday, swing the directions around for Shelikof Strait, west winds 30 knots, east side of Kodiak Island, northwest at 40 with seas a little over 20 feet. Alaska Peninsula, northwest 30 knots, seas 12 feet, Bristol Bay, small craft advisories, north 25 with 7-foot seas. On Alaska Island, northeast winds 25 knots, seas 11 feet. Unmak Island, east-northeast 15 to 20 knots, seas around 10 feet. AKwx, northeast 25 knots. Amchitka Island, north at 30 knots, and Kiskadeshimia, northeast at 25. And on Sunday, those winds come up markedly there are the western Aleutians. Gale warnings east 40 to 45 knots, and gale warnings also for AKwx. 35 to 40 knot easterly winds with 10 to 13 foot seas. On Alaska Island, north 25 knots. Unmak Island, northeast 25 to 30 knots. Southwest coast, northeast 30 knots Saturday, seas 8 feet. Pribilofs, northeast 30 knots, 12 foot seas. Same forecast for St. Matthew Island. St. Lawrence Island, northeast at 20 with seas of 5 feet. And for Sunday, St. Lawrence Island, small craft advisories, north 25 knots, seas 8 feet. That's also good for the Yukon Delta coast, and also for St. Matthew Island, north 25 knots, 8 foot seas. Pribilofs, north at 20 with 7 foot seas, and 30 knot northerly winds for the Kuskokwim Delta coast with seas running at 8 feet, while Norton Sound's looking at north winds at 20 knots. Eastern Beaufort Sea coast, not too bad wind-wise tomorrow, all along the Arctic coast. Coming down definitely lighter than the last couple of days on the east side there. West-northwest 15 knots, north 15 knots, central coast, northeast 15 knots on the west side. And from, let's see, the Wales to Cape Beaufort area, north to northeast at 20 knots. And then for Sunday, Wales to Cape Thompson, north winds 30 knots. Brisk wind advisories there, all ice covered now. And brisk wind advisories also from, let's see, Cape Thompson up to Point Lay for northeast winds at 25 knots and northeast 15 for the central and eastern Beaufort Sea coast. And for tonight, storm cranking up there south of Kodiak starts to bring wind and rain in tonight, and Arctic front drops just south of the or into Dixon entrance to Queen Charlotte's. That's allowing colder, drier air to blow into the northern panhandle. It'll be clear and cold again. Probably the coldest night over interior Alaska.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.